it's Kris.
And I'm Wyatt Elliott from Notebook Entertainment.
And you're watching Review This.
That was wonderful. Bravo. I loved that. Oh, it was great. Well, it was pretty good. Well, it wasn't bad.
It stinks.
Today we're going to be talking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022 that just came out.
On Netflix.
Yep. We've got mixed reactions.
Yeah.
It was fun. I liked it, but there's room for improvement and there's a few definite problems.
Yeah, off the top, I'll say if you just want a gore fest and you want to see a mix of CGI and practical effects, that's actually
cool.
That looks cool. That's done well. Then yeah, it's fun.
Yep.
It's not too long.
It's a fun movie.
It's not too long. You're not going to waste much of your time. You know, even if you don't like it. So
it's definitely better than most of the other sequels.
I'm gonna leave, and no one is gonna stop me. You sit the fuck down and shut up.
It's definitely better than part 4. I don't know about part 2, but it is definitely better than part 4. So let's get into this. We're going to talk about the characters. We've got Old Man Leatherface, played by Mark Burnham. He did fine.
But let's talk about that for a second. So he's like, what, 70-something here? Because I saw that they said the actor, if you go by that, in the original movie, he was like 26 when they shot that. So if you do the math, he's like 74 or something now. But I don't know what the character's age is supposed to be. Yeah. So I have no idea.
Somewhere in his 70s, I think. But
he's badass for his 70s,
right.
man. I'll
he
give
can
him that.
move.
Right. He can take a shotgun to the chest and be fine.
Yep. I think he did fine. I think Gunnar Hansen was the more iconic, but Mark Burnham did. I think he did fine.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with his performance in it.
And then we have Sally Hardesty, played by Olwen Fora. I'm sorry, I'm not sure. And so we find out that Sally, in the time between films, she's become a Texas Ranger and has been basically hunting and trying to find this masked person who terrorized her. To be fair, I think the family terrorized her more than him, but whatever.
Well, he was the one who chased her at the end, I guess.
I guess, but he's not the one who drove nails through her hands. Right. He's not the one who hit her in the head with a hammer. Like, I mean,
fair.
So, the OG Sally was played by Marilyn Burns. She died in 2014 at the age of 64. So we'll get more into Sally later because we got some things to say.
Yeah.
This lady, I will just say this here, she did not live up to Marilyn Burns.
No, and I've got a lot to say about that once we get there.
Once we get there.
But yeah, stay tuned, guys, because...
So we'll move on, and we've got the new cast. We've got Lila, who's played by Elsie Fisher, and she's the younger sister. She survived a school shooting.
I didn't mind her at all.
And
I thought
she's now living with her sister.
Yeah,
I liked her.
She was good.
And then we've got her sister Melody, played by Sarah Yarkin, and she's a chef, and she wants to open a restaurant in the town along with her business partner, who's also a chef, and his name's Dante, played by Jacob Lattimore.
And I don't remember them saying this, but the way that people knew who he was, I feel like he's like either a influencer or he's a celebrity chef. Yeah, he's famous and he's rich and famous.
They're rich. Like that car alone, they got a self-driving car. Yeah, they're rich.
Right. Like
they bought a whole town. Like
Yeah.
Ugh. So then we've got Ruth, who is Nell Hudson, and she's Dante's girlfriend or wife. I'm not 100% on which one it was.
I don't remember.
And she wants to open an art gallery in this new town. Richter, who's played by Mo Dunford, and he's the contractor. He's a townie. He lives there. He knows everything. He's a weirdo, but he's ultimately an okay guy.
Right. He's the big red herring, basically.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you've got Mrs. Mack, who played by Alice Krieg, and she ran the town orphanage. And she might be a bit racist, even though she was nothing but nice to Dante and claimed that she took care of other boys like him. I think she might have been slightly racist. She did have a star, a Confederate flag out there. And she's basically been taking care of Leatherface for an unknown number of years. That's one of my issues, is I'm not sure, okay, so she's been taking care of him since he was 26 and left his family? I don't understand
I don't know.
that there. I think that needed another gloss over on the script. Because, it's she talks about how she takes in all these boys and she's been raising them and he's the only one left and she's been raising him. And I'm like, raising him from 26-year-old man?
Yeah, that is true because even at the end, spoiler alert, but they show him going back to the house. So, this is the same guy.
And they say it's supposed to be a direct sequel.
Right. So there's something missing there somewhere.
So maybe it'll show up in the next sequel or whatever, but they need to explain that because, okay, what? She took in a 26-year-old guy.
And, maybe he's not the most mentally capable, but he's clearly capable of a lot in this movie.
Right. So let's, I need an explanation on that.
Agreed.
Then we have Catherine, who's played by Jessica Elaine, and she's a banker who's helping Dante and Melody auction off the buildings in the town to other businesses.
Yeah, because that's what it seems like what they've done is they bought this entire ghost town, basically. Yep. And they're bringing in a bunch of investors.
It's a ghost town when they get there. Yeah. But what we find out is that basically they went and bought all the land, and the reason Miss Mack is still there is because she claims that, no, I paid off everything I owed, so you didn't get my house.
Right.
So that's where the gentrification comes in, and you're kind of like, maybe they're not the good guys because they're kicking people out of their homes.
But then they kind of made it like, did they do it? Did they kick him out on purpose, or did they kick him out?
Right, because they thought they owned the deed. It turns out they did not for her house, but they thought for sure that they owned the deed because they thought they bought the whole town. So I blame that one on Catherine because she's the banker, and shouldn't she have known?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
And then our final thing is a bus full of what I call meat bags, because we don't really meet these people, but
when they showed up,
when they pulled up, I was like, oh great, victims.
Yeah, they come, right. We're like, okay, here's all of our victims, and there was a lot of people, so I'm like, okay, the body count's gonna be up. I didn't think he was gonna take them all out in one scene,
thing, yeah.
But still, it was cool.
So overall, I just want to say this was a fun movie, but it did not feel completely like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and I think that the big reason is that they did not include his family. Because when you watch the Texas Chainsaw, you almost feel sorry for Leatherface in some of it because he's just basically living with this terrible fucking family. And they've always, I think, been more evil than him.
Well, yeah, because he's always been kind of slow, mentally challenged, whatever you want to call it. And so, therefore, he's only doing what he's been raised with. He doesn't know any better, is the way I've always pictured it. You know?
Exactly.
This is life. That they kind of ruined him with the way they raised him. So they knew better and chose to live this way.
So I don't know if the movie's implying that without them and living with Miss Mack, he was fine, because he had to break into a wall to get to his chainsaw. Yeah, so was he better living with Miss Mack? Or
why was he hiding the chainsaw on the wall?
That was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think by removing the family, what they've done is just made this more like a generic slasher film instead of a Leatherface, a Texas Chainsaw film. Like, okay, he put her face on, but I mean, so did Dude in Silence of the Lambs. Like,
it felt way more like a slasher than the previous ones that I've seen, and I've seen most of the Texas Chainsaw movies, but
I've seen them all.
Yeah, I have to say most because there are a couple I have not seen, but. There's always, and I'm not saying they should have repeated the dinner scene and all that stuff.
I'm glad they didn't.
We're glad they didn't, but the fact that there wasn't any townspeople that were in on it or whatever, the sheriff, they were all just, like the guy that's a red herring. We all thought for sure that he was.
And I like that he wasn't. But they should have found a way to involve some kind of family, because like I said, I fully believe that in the Texas Chainsaw series, the family is the bigger threat than him.
Because usually Leatherface has
they're more evil.
Yeah, Leatherface has one scene of the dinner, and then usually at the end he comes out.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I just think that they needed more Texas Chainsaw Massacre stuff to make it not just feel like another, just like a random slasher. Like this, Leatherface could have literally been anyone in this movie. It didn't have to be Leatherface, and that's where there's an issue.
Yeah, and I want to say kudos to trying something different. That's totally fine. Although they didn't try something different. They just ripped off Halloween 2018. Right. Is what they did.
For sure. To their detriment, I think. But let's get into things we liked. Before we talk about stuff we didn't like, we like to start positive. And again, full spoilers. We've been spoiling things so far. So
yeah, I'll throw up spoilers.
All spoilers. So things we liked. I want to start by saying that I did like that there was no dinner scene. That there was no one passing as normal who was secretly part of the family. Like, I'm glad they skipped those beats and didn't just do what Halloween and Scream and the other a couple other ones that have come out.
Requels,
the requels. I'm glad they're not doing what other requels do, which is just copy the beats of the first one. So I'm glad they tried something original. But I think they needed more of the Texas Chainsaw with their originality. Just adding the family. You didn't need the dinner scene. You didn't need the red herring. You just needed more of the family.
And the family could have been throughout the town. They could have been sheriffs. They could have been whatever.
Yeah, maybe they bought out the town after the town fell in disrepair, and then it's not so bad that they're coming in and stealing all these people's homes.
Maybe there's a whole bunch of...
It's a cannibal town.
Exactly. So there definitely was options there
was ways,
missed opportunities.
and
But I will say I do enjoyed the concept on how they brought everybody to this scene. Because, you know, you have to bring them to Crystal Lake or wherever it is. And this was this was a way of doing it. If you're going to make it a ghost town, they bust all these people, investors, in there. So
I have no problem with the premise. I did like it. And I have that in things I like, the premise of why they're all in the area, trying to rejuvenate this town.
Yeah, I think that was really
I do really
smart.
like that. And I really like the handyman guy. He was an asshole, but he's a complicated asshole.
Yes.
And he had a brutal death. The sledgehammer to the head while the sister's watching.
Holy crap. And that's what I mean by they had practical and CGI.
Yeah.
Because they went from
you
practical
saw
to
his
CGI.
head, like, cave in.
And they didn't cut away from the smash.
No, that was super brutal. And I told him, I was like, that would be really fucked up to watch. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, and here we are watching it for entertainment. I was like, horror fans are messed up, man.
But,
oh my god.
But we were entertained.
We were really entertained. Especially by, this is my favorite part, the bus scene.
Yeah.
I loved the bus scene.
Well, yeah, because you got all these partiers, and it's like a party bus. You know,
right.
There's flashing lights, there's drinks and stuff.
Yeah, it started raining, so they took their party onto the bus, and they're all just sitting there. And they can't leave because Richter has stolen the keys because Miss Mack has died. And so he wants proof that they really did own her building. And then he'll give them the keys back. So he's taking the keys to the bus and the car. Yeah,
because exactly what she said. So, and yes, it's a dick move, but on the other hand, I'm sure they should have gotten the cops involved, which she pointed out the cops are dead by this point.
I was like, there's only 2 cops. This is a 500 person town, maybe. The whole police department's dead with those 2 guys, for sure. I did like... They were all streaming and stuff, and you'd see the live stream audience's reaction. Oh, it looks fake. I've been to scarier haunted houses. That was funny, but it didn't have as much of an impact because we had just seen that happen with the YouTuber character on All of Us Are Dead.
Yeah.
So I was like,
a rip-off,
it did.
Really.
It felt like it was copying.
And what I didn't like, and I assume this was some sort of like comedic social commentary or whatever, but when the one guy, they're filming him and he goes,
try anything and you're canceled, bro.
Oh, fuck. Cancel what? Who is this guy?
Right. He clearly does not have internet, my dude.
And you think he gives a fuck about canceling?
Oh, no, Leatherface can't get on Twitter.
It was just a stupid line, guys.
It really was.
I'm sorry. I'm all for social justice and stuff, but that was just
and making
stupid.
fun of social stuff.
Yeah.
That's clearly they were making fun of the people like, oh, I'm going to cancel it.
Which, fine, I guess
fine,
he just
you can
died,
make fun
whatever,
of that, but it's just so, ugh.
And then, right, I don't know. I don't know what they meant, how they meant for us to feel about that scene, because they put it in the trailer, too.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, whatever. I liked overall the bus scene. There was so much gore, you guys.
Well, because they can't get out of the bus. So they're all stuck. And he's coming towards them with a chainsaw. And,
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was really good. That was pretty cool.
And then Catherine finally, because she's trying to get all the windows open, she finally finds a window that open and she's halfway out and he just saws her in half and her body falls out. That was amazing.
That was epically amazing. Her body falls off screen, you just see her guts and then and I'm like, that's
so cool.
This is the kind of violence I guess I've been waiting for my whole life on Texas Chainsaw, because I'm like, you got a chainsaw. So yeah, they went for it, man. And I don't know if being on Netflix helped with the violence or not. That they didn't, I don't know if this has a rating on it or not. But yeah, they went for it on this one. They didn't. I
loved the gore and the makeup and the special effects. Fantastic in this movie.
When the guy's jaw is hanging off.
That was really good.
I was like.
Dante comes out of the house, somehow survives.
Right.
Comes out of the house and they see his face and, his face is half sliced.
Right.
It looks so cool.
And I'm 99% sure that was makeup.
It looked like practical effects,
that was CG. And it was, badass.
It looked really good. So good job, makeup department.
For reals.
All right, so let's get into the things we didn't like, and I want to start with Sally.
Yeah, we have to.
She wasn't a good actress.
No,
I'm sorry, she wasn't.
Can we bring up the elephant in the room that we found out after watching this movie? It's about the original Sally passing away.
Yeah, I didn't know she had died before we watched it. So I thought we were getting original Marilyn Burns, and I was like, wait a minute, who's this bitch? Like,
yeah, that's what I thought too, because that's what we were told. We knew they were bringing her back.
Right.
We knew she was going to be badass. But the fact that, so we kept talking like, okay, so did she like not act in all these years, and that's why her acting isn't as good?
But no,
because
it's a completely different woman.
It's a completely different woman.
And
so
I'm like, then why do you have Sally come back? The reason we have Laurie come back is because Jamie Lee Curtis is still alive.
And a
the
good
reason
actor.
we have Sydney and Gail come back is because they're still alive. Like, it doesn't make sense to bring back a original character with a brand new actress. Why? Plus, she slowed down the movie.
Yeah, it was awful. When then it cuts away to her, it's like, what the fuck is...
Right. She was wasted. The character was wasted.
Talk about shoehorned in. Like, the whole, her scenes fell short. And then, to top it off, she's dumb as fuck.
Yep.
Because she has Leatherface barrel to his
she's
head.
like, you don't remember me? And then she's like sad that he doesn't remember her. And so she lets him walk away without shooting him.
Yep. The whole purpose of her is to kill him.
50 years she's been trying to
And because he doesn't know, because why would he remember her? This is 50 years ago. He's probably done this to tons of girls. He doesn't give a fuck who you are.
Right.
Plus, he's mentally challenged. He doesn't recognize you. You're older.
Right.
What is wrong with this woman?
Right. And the sisters had just been terrorized by this guy, right? She drives up. This is when she finally gets to town. She drives up. They're like, thank you, get in the car. Instead of either driving them to safety, because she knows what they've been through. She has experienced what they've been through. So instead of driving them away and coming back, or just giving them the fucking keys, she's like, you guys have to stay here because you're the bait or whatever. I'm like, what a bitch.
She's like the worst Texas Ranger ever. Like, this is what she does. And then she locks him in the car so they can't get away and goes in there and then chooses not to kill him. And then just like, what? There's no logic.
No.
None. Like, what was this scene?
It was horrible.
What was the scene? And then, of course, Leatherface just kills her. So she waits till Leatherface attacks the girls again, then shows back up.
And then he just...
Right, and now she's like, oh, I don't forget her. She says some dumb line to him, and it's all like badass and everything. And it's like, wait, you had your opportunity to kill him. Why are you waiting for him to do this? And then he just guts her with his chainsaw.
And the way they made her badass, I'm sorry, Laurie was way more of a badass in 2018. She was.
Yeah.
And by forcing Sally into this, they've opened themselves up to those comparisons.
Yeah.
They didn't need Sally in this movie at all. The movie would have played better without her, honestly.
Yeah, it would have been fine.
So by them putting her in there, you've now opened yourself up, and I'm sorry, Halloween 2018 did it way better.
Yep.
Way fucking better.
And honestly, as much as we have problems with Scream did it better.
Scream did it better too, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't like the new Scream movie at all. I like the new Texas Chainsaw movie way better than I like the new Scream movie.
Yeah.
But Scream did it better with their OG characters.
Yep. And they even half-assed it. Let's face it. They did.
They did.
They completely half-assed it. But
at least you could find reasons for them being there. There's absolutely no reason for Sally to be in this movie at all.
No reason. Because the whole reason for, it's so stupid. And if she would have just shot him or made a smart decision or
let the girls leave?
Yeah, or was a hero in the movie and then died to save him. Fine. That's all fine. Yeah. But she's like, stop, blah, blah, blah. And he just guts her with his chainsaw and then...
Sally is the reason that Melody winds up dying at the end. Yeah. Because those girls would have been long gone and she could have either taken him out or not taken him out, whatever. But because she made those girls stay, I fully blame Sally for Melody getting killed.
And then Sally's not even fucking dead. She pops back up with a...
Here's the gun, take the gun.
Right.
Oh.
And I'm like, bitch, he held her up with the chainsaw.
Right.
And going like this with her and threw her to the ground.
There's no way that woman's alive.
She's gutted.
There's no way that woman's alive.
Completely destroyed on the inside.
There's no way.
And she dies, but like,
But after she gets off a shot, and after she gives the gun, and manages to give a little speech or whatever to Lila.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I hated Sally in this movie. I hated it.
You cut her out, I would have loved this movie.
It would have been 10 times better movie.
She's what brought down the movie.
Yep, she really is.
And to find out it wasn't even because she was a legacy actress is just mind-blowing.
Right. I would understand it better if it was Marilyn Burns. Right. But it's not. So who the fuck cares?
If it was her, then it's like, okay, she hasn't acted in years. Maybe her acting isn't as good anymore, but you want her in the film, so who cares? We love it. But it's not her.
So who fucking cares?
Right. Like, it's just...
I don't know what Fede Alvarez was thinking. I really don't. I really don't.
I'm sorry. That was so dumb. That was just so dumb.
It dragged his movie, and like I said, cut her out of it. It's a 10 times better movie.
Right, like, for instance, okay, Fede Alvarez did the remake of Evil Dead.
Yep.
And brilliant, because he didn't shoehorn in as much as we wanted to see Ash. They didn't shoehorn him in. Now, at the very end credits, there's a little teaser thing at the end.
I mean,
but it's just like a fun little thing.
Right.
He's like groovy.
But he doesn't walk in and be like, groovy, here's my boomstick.
Right.
Like,
and then, like, gets killed or recast him as somebody else.
Right.
Like,
I hate it. But I also hated, at the end, the very end, I hated that they mimicked the waving the chainsaw thing. Their perfect shot. They already had the perfect shot. Was her being driven away in a car she can't stop while he's holding up her sister's head. Yeah. Perfect end shot. You didn't need the waving around of the chainsaw, especially since you did not do it better than the original.
No.
It did not look as artistic. It did not look as good. It looked stupid.
It did look better than Part 4's rip-off scene of that.
I mean,
but
everything is better than Part 4, guys.
But yeah, so, and I don't understand the self-driving car they've got. Like, what year is this? Like, to mine, we don't have, I know the technology's out there, I know we're working on it, but we don't have this ready available for people
Right,
yet.
because that new TV show, like the first episode, the American Auto or whatever, they have a new TV series out that's kind of like The Office. It's called like American Auto or something.
Yeah.
And the very first episode, their self-driving car that they're testing runs over black people because it can't tell the difference.
Yeah. So
I'm with him. What year is this?
So all of a sudden, and they don't show it until the very end. And all of a sudden, they get in the car and there's this weird dashboard on. I'm like, okay. And then they set it to drive, and that's why they did it, because they wanted the scene where the car's driving and she couldn't get away.
I like it.
He pulls her through the window and then holds her up, cuts her head off, and she can't get out of the car, and the car's just driving away.
And she just watches her sister be killed.
And that's what she's saying is that's how it should have ended.
Yep.
Cuts the head off. He's standing there like
holding
this.
That was it. I thought that was it.
Yep,
I was like, that's perfect.
Yep, show her
then
screaming.
they go back to him, waving around the chains. I'm like, stupid.
Yeah.
Fucking
stupid.
That
was stupid. And we turned to each other and I was like, I can't believe they just did that.
Yep.
Because the scene was perfect.
Yep.
Because you can...
You don't have to do... And the whole film, they had strayed away from hitting those beats of the first one. So why throw it in at the very end? It's so...
Yeah, it's so... Now, back to things that I did like that they showed him cutting off, because the face he uses in this one is the
Mrs.
woman who was taking care of him.
Yeah.
And they show that and everything. And I think Leatherface looked pretty good in this. It's not his best look, but he looked good.
I think he looked better than some of the other movies, sure.
Again, better than 4.
I also didn't like that the sister was a school shooting survivor. I think that detail didn't really add anything.
No,
and it actually detracted from the story, because every time she would go through some new trauma, I'm like, this poor girl. Like, that's all I could think was this poor girl.
Now here's a thought I had. Instead of Sally, cut Sally out, show more flashbacks to what she went through, and make it parallel what she's going through now.
That would have been better, I think. Because otherwise it's just kind of thrown away that she's at school. And then she, every once in a while, freeze up or have PTSD because of it. But all we see of that scene is her laying in the hallway staring at other kids that have been shot. That's all we see.
And there's like one scene of her laying in present day, being afraid and it kind of affecting her.
Either go more into it or just take that out.
Because it was interesting that they were going there. It was interesting that they were doing that, but then they didn't do anything with it. Like, what if they tied it back to it turns out the people who did the school shooting was related to Leatherface or something?
That might have been stupid. But
I'm just...
I just think her background, it just detracted from the story. Because again, every time she's going through something new, I'm like, well, there's more therapy for... There's, this poor girl.
They just tortured... I mean, and I don't know if they're setting up for her to do more. I did read that the director is hoping for more movies and has said that he's got plans for sequels. So Texas Chainsaw has never, to my knowledge, really brought back Final Girls or anything. So, but maybe that's what they're going to try to do with this girl. Maybe there's plans. I don't know. But...
What's-her-face? I would love if they had brought back What's-her-face from the second one.
Yeah.
She was great.
So there's my other thought. If Sally's not alive anymore, bring back another legacy character.
From what I can't
From
remember
part
the
two.
character's
Yeah,
name, but
I
from
don't
part
remember
2, she
either.
was fantastic. I would
was
have loved her
badass,
in this.
yeah.
She was actually badass, unlike Sally. Sally was never badass.
No.
So I think
Right, Sally was just a terrified girl. You
Right.
know, like, I don't know. I just hate it though. I hate what they did. I hate it.
Yeah, I hate what they did with Sally. Around Sally, it's a solid movie.
It's a solid entertaining, yeah. It may not be super smart or whatever,
right.
but it's...
The problem is Sally, the problem is it doesn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw. It kind of just feels like another generic slasher.
Yeah.
And the problem is Leatherface, because he's got the chainsaw and he wears faces, has always been the standout, but he's never the star of his movies. The family is. Mm-hmm. It's always been about the family. So not having the family here gives us only the focus on Leatherface, and it's...
Yeah, I don't know what you go...
He's not evil enough for me. He's not. It's you feel bad for him the whole time. Because you're like, well, they just killed the person who's been taking care of him.
In this movie, he's killing the people who are evicted him from his house, murdered his caretaker.
Right. I don't even have to write a slasher advocate. It writes itself for what, you know.
He's kind of, I mean, you could argue he's justified with what he does.
I mean, they're in Texas, right? Stand your ground.
I mean, yeah. They invaded his house, technically.
Killed his mom.
Yep.
Or his foster mom or whatever.
Yeah, I thought it was his mom, but it's not. I don't know.
We don't know if it's his mom, because they didn't make that clear.
I guess that's
They really
true.
didn't. She told us that she ran an orphanage. She told us that that he's the last one, and that she's been taking care of him all this time.
Yeah.
That's all she tells us. So we don't know.
We don't know.
She could really be his mom and just, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think they know.
Or she took him in as a 26-year-old and was like, yeah, I'll take care of you.
Right. Exactly.
Those are the only two options. So.
And, okay, if he's in his 70s, how old is this woman?
Right.
Like, I know she had oxygen and everything, but she looked like she was, not 100.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know.
See, that's the problem with trying to do a sequel to a movie that's like 50 years old, guys. Mm-hmm. Like, all your characters...
Sorry.
All your characters are way too old. All your legacy characters are too old.
So at this point, especially if you're not going to really bring anybody back, one, have the movie take place in the 90s, have it take place in the 80s.
They could have shifted it.
You know, they could have done a lot of things.
And since we don't have Marilyn Burns, you could have recast anyone as Sally and had a younger Sally in the 90s, in the 80s, going after him.
You had your freedom.
This didn't have to be a modern day movie.
No. And was it just me, or did it literally sound like John Larroquette was probably just, they sent him the script and he's recorded from home?
It was not as creepy as he originally did it, no.
No, it was
Maybe
not.
just because he's older, too. Like,
well, yeah.
He's literally the only original person they have in this movie.
And now it explains it. That's probably why because they kind of got him at the last minute.
Yep, they sure did.
Last minute, they announced, hey, John Larroquette's coming back. And I'm like, does this movie come out in a week?
Right.
Like, you know? So, like, it literally sounds like they probably sent it to him, and at home, he recorded it.
Only legacy character they could get was the narrator. Mm-hmm. Like, guys, just set your movie in the 90s. Like,
seriously, like, we all love the 90s and nostalgic stuff. Think of all the stuff you could have done, and then you could have, you could have even had something in the modern day saying they're still looking for him. That could have been the
end scene or whatever.
The end scene or the John Larroquette's narration could have been like, hey, did you guys know it kept happening? I don't know. They could have said it happened again, happened a third time. We're still looking for him.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with this movie. It's a fun watch. Most horror fans are going to have fun watching it. But any thought given to it instantly ruins it.
So just turn off your brain, click, and then turn on the movie.
And pretend, you have to pretend that there is no other Texas Chainsaw movies. Have to.
Yep, and just enjoy it for being a slasher. The kills are great. Again, it's not very long.
The new characters are fine.
Yeah,
I like Lila.
Yeah, I didn't hate them.
And I didn't hate Melody either.
No. They were just fine. They were, they weren't like epic or anything, but they were fine.
They're fine.
But the violence and everything in it is the best part, guys.
But I never again want to hear Halloween Kills is too brutal.
Right. For real.
We just watched a bus full of people, dude. Like, that sledgehammer scene alone is more brutal than what happened to Cameron, whatever the fuck his name was, where his head goes up and down in the
Way
stairway.
more brutal.
That sledgehammer was way more brutal. Like, you saw the guy's head get caved in. It was amazing.
Although I'd be totally down for a Michael versus Leatherface fight.
I'd watch that.
These two old guys just going
Who don't
at
talk,
it.
yeah.
I
I would watch the hell out of that. For sure.
Done and done. Toss in old Jason. Like, let's bring back old Jason, guys. Yep. Let's make him really
Just have
old.
a battle royale.
Yeah.
I would watch
amazing.
it. I would watch it. So yeah, those are our thoughts. Those are our thoughts on the movie. And again, we liked it, but we didn't. It's a hard one.
This is a great example of a good movie made or an okay movie made horrible because of a bad decision.
Yep, and an okay movie that could have been even better if they had made different decisions.
Yeah, so... But give it a watch if you like horror movies, guys.
Sure.
It's on Netflix. If you got a Netflix account, just watch it.
Just watch it.
It won't take up much of your time. You'll probably enjoy it. Let us know, though.
Yeah.
Let us know
Let us know what you think, well, especially about Sally, because from what I've been seeing on the internet, everyone seems really split on Sally in particular.
They seem to be split on the movie entirely.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, I see some people like, this is better than Scream, and I'm like, whoa. Look, I did not like the Scream movie at all. This is not better than the Scream movie.
They both made bad decisions.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about a requel, guys, is you got to do it right. You know, like, we're not saying Halloween made the best decision.
No, they have mistakes too, for sure.
But come on, you know.
But that came out before we were doing the show, so I didn't. If you want me to, I can go back and I'll do a review this of 2018. I've got things to say.
All right. That would be interesting.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Just because I love Halloween doesn't mean I'm blind to the problems with the franchise, and there are quite a few.
Right.
But it's my favorite series, so they can't do any wrong in my eyes. I love them. I love Michael.
And we know for certain people this is their favorite franchise.
Right.
So if it is your favorite franchise, we definitely want to hear from you.
Yes, please let us know your thoughts on Sally and the movie. If you're a huge Texas Chainsaw fan, that's who I want to hear from.
Yeah, we want to know how you feel about the whole Sally thing. Because was it cool to see Sally back, even if it wasn't the original actress, because she's no longer with us?
And even though she wasn't a good actress, and even though she wasn't nearly as badass as Lori or Sydney or Gail.
And how bad did it piss you off that they brought her back just to kill her? Because that was kind of insulting, I thought, too.
Right.
You know, I got the whole Dewey vibes again, except for I was not invested in this
except
one.
I didn't care. I was like, kill her.
Right. I said, we're like, kill her because she's annoying and worthless.
Right.
So, all right, guys, that's our review of Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. So please like and subscribe on this channel if you haven't already to get the rest of our content.
Don't forget to ring the bell so you get notified every time we have new stuff coming out.
Yeah, and I think I've had enough to say about this movie and just pissing myself off. So I'm going to shut up now.
All right, good night, good night.